Sorry.
Sorry?
Sorry, I'm
Oh yeah,
late.
a minute. I'm going to speak to you totally without any articles, definite or otherwise. You have topic for me, Miller? So are you coming to the cottage? This is a podcast in which two friends talk about the pleasures, absurdities, and imperfections of being human. I'm Simon Ellis.
And I'm Lee Miller. Welcome to Midlifing.
Oh.
Tavares. Yapo.
Okay.
That's the only Russian I know, which is, I'm sure it's not right anymore because it's been a few years. But it's you, me, sex on the floor.
I mean, opposite.
So I'm thinking that we can get through this episode without talking about blowjobs or anal sex.
We can try. Just for
Just
clarity.
for context.
Simon.
I don't think we need context. Come on. Everyone knows what podcast.
Simon watched Heated Rivalry upon my recommendation, and I got a text message one morning earlier on in the week, with no wider context. He didn't say I'm starting to watch it. It just read there were a lot of blowjobs in that episode, and given that a significant number of our conversations via text are about episodes of the podcast, I was thinking, were there? I don't remember that. I must be in a fugue.
I did indeed watch Heated Rivalry, and I don't know. Connor, someone who plays the Russian, Ilya.
Connor Story.
I don't know what Russians who are watching it. Probably not many, but I wonder what they think of his Russian. But wow, he does a pretty convincing job of coming across as Russian.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they call it acting, don't they?
Yeah, it's a funny thing, isn't it? Yeah. And
I mean, I didn't love it. I struggled. It just felt, you know what? It felt like a Mills and Boon TV series.
And that's exactly what it is. It's based on a genre called hockey smut.
There is a genre called hockey smut.
I think there's a genre called smut more generally, and the subgenre is hockey smut, and it is written by straight women, probably four straight women.
Oh, four straight women, not four of them.
Not by...
There are just four straight women dominating.
No. There's hundreds of them, but it has, the rule is that there has to be four women writing each book. It's a rule.
It's very collaborative.
It's like
hockey smut. Very, very collaborative. Yeah, because they've got to get through the ins and outs of the nuances of the game of ice hockey, don't they?
Yeah, so somebody's just focusing on like what one team does, the other. Yeah. Anyway.
So it's four straight
by women for women, and I suppose in a post Andrew Tate world.
Is it really post? I mean, it would be great if it were post, wouldn't it?
Post, as in I think post after the emergence of him.
So it's really during Andrew Tate world.
Yeah. I suppose with an active sense of the manosphere, with an active sense of men. Perhaps particularly younger men, although I don't think exclusively, are being co-opted into this narrative of them and us, and obviously them being women.
Yeah.
There's all of these little sub-pockets of masculine culture, which is about, it's homosocial.
Yeah.
That's with one M.
Yeah. Wait.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Maybe I actually want it to be two
homo.
M's. Maybe it's both. It's both, isn't it, really? Like homo as in singular, but also homo as in between men. So it's both.
I'm getting into weeds there I know nothing of.
I'm thinking there. Oh, sorry, that's some French feminism, isn't it? That's the notion of the notion of homos. I don't think she uses. Is it Irigaray or is it?
It sounds
Christopher
like
who
either
talks
of them.
about the
That's for
idea
sure.
Yeah, I can't remember. It talks about the idea of
I
homosexual
love that we got from
relationships,
heated
but
rivalry
it's Vichy plus XM.
to Irigaray via the manosphere.
I don't think it's a stretch.
I wonder what.
Weirdly, unlike him on the ice with his bum in the air. There's some just great shots. Like, you don't see any hockey, of course, except for long shots where it's other people playing. But there's some great shots of them warming up, and the guy whose name, the boring one, boring. Hollander.
Asshole.
Hollander,
Boring.
to the cottage.
So Hollander is
you are very pretty.
Hollander is always doing this warm up, which is basically like a cat cow on all fours, but with legs very wide, and it's just hilarious.
There's a very arousing arch to
There
the
is.
lower back, and the bottom is up for display. And I think we see it first when he looks into the crowd and waves at his quote unquote girlfriend. Or really, we should be saying beard. It's
Beard.
Yeah.
I want to just. We went too quickly then. We went too quickly for me, and we went too quickly for people who are listening.
Sorry.
I said, well, probably not actually. I don't want to underestimate them. I'm overestimating myself. So you said, this is hockey smut.
Yeah, hockey smut. So this
Written
idea
for straight
of,
women,
which is sort of it's not. I think it's sort of a leap on from the. Okay, so this is not something I'm very familiar with. I have a colleague, and she writes academically about the idea of the Bonkbuster. So that's the Jackie Collins and the Jilly Coopers.
and are they known as Bonkbusters?
She's run. Yes, they are known as Bonkbusters, like Blockbusters about bonking. So Bonkbusters. It's a genre in and
English
of itself.
is fantastic. The flexibility.
It really is.
What an amazing, incredible Bonkbuster. Okay.
Yeah. Everybody banging on about you can make a word for anything in German. Yeah, do they have a word for Bonkbuster? They probably do. Please, German listeners, let me know. Debunkbuster. Debunkenbusten. Disculp. That was awful. So she writes critically about the idea of the kind of erotic fiction, and I've not done enough reading about this, but this whole genre of writing, women's writing for women and by women, and the kind of cultural cringe around it. So we know that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I'm going to do semi-high theory again. So we know that Umberto Eco, who is like, a literary writer who also does literary theory writing, talks about the idea of the problem of the postmodern age. He's writing in the 90s.
Oh, he's definitely not writing now.
No, he's a little bit.
He is 6 feet under, unlike Andrew Tate.
Yeah, and we're not going to wish harm on
Absolutely
anybody.
not.
Even though they may position themselves to be wanting us to wish harm on them, because that would prove something, but we're not. We're just observing.
We're not
Anyway.
separate, Lee Miller.
No, exactly. I know.
There is no distance.
A messy. No, and I think that's why probably I've run back to the safety of academic discourse and sort of tracing the roots of something in order to. I know we've got to get to the manosphere, but Umberto Eco says the problem with the postmodern experience is that you can no longer say "I love you" madly. You will know. You sound like a Milton Boons novel. And he says,
when you add the madly bit, you mean?
"Yeah, I love you madly." Exactly. So you can't offer something hyperbolic because it sounds cliched. But he says if you want to be able to communicate to somebody that you love them madly, what you do is you lean into the wink. the postmodern by saying, as Barbara Cartland would say, I love you madly. And what you do is you show your workings. You show, I know this is cliched. I'm saying,
But I'm
as
using
Barbara
it
Cartland
without
would say.
irony and with irony at the same time.
Yeah. But so we know that this. I mean, isn't that just beautiful? But we know that there's cultural cringe around all of those kinds of bits of writing, and we sneer.
I mean, the
and
covers don't
we
help,
laugh.
do they? Like, I always have a feeling. I always found the covers just so over the top, and I just thought if the covers were different, then I think my experience of what might be. I know that apparently you can't tell a book by its cover, but
I don't know. Here's the thing. I'm going to ask a question about this. So what we've got fey, winsome, tiny ladies being held by these massive man mountains with their shirts undone to their waist and their rippling bronze muscles and their flowing hair. And yeah, they look weirdly bizarre, but is it because we're uncomfortable socially with the idea of the male gaze being usurped?
don't know.
Is it that much different than going into a gallery and seeing tit after tit
I
after
know.
tit after
Well,
tit after tit?
I mean, yeah. I mean, we just fall
then
back to yes. It's a matter of taste. Yes, it's just a matter of taste. That's fine.
But all taste is culturally constructed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I think, and it's not like I'm defending them. I don't know that I've read more than a handful of Mills and Boons, and I have read some.
I've read a lot of historical fiction, which has such a close relationship to not only just the covers, but that kind of, the role of women. Anyway, I just you keep going.
So, and then we have to jump over
Bodice ripping historical fiction
yeah,
is the
exactly.
word I was.
Yeah. Bodice rippers. Yes, of course. A genre that I haven't read any of.
Yeah, I'm thinking Bernard Cornwell,
Yes.
all the Sharp series and all
Yeah,
that, which have that. Yeah, there's a there's like a whiff of history,
and
yet it's really just it's a
fights and boobs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's interesting. It's the opposite of Lee Child, which is just fights and fights and fights, and then there's always something which is a little bit. I think there's something quite homoerotic about the sex scenes in Reacher, because he spends much more time telling us how taut and strong and hard Reacher's body is. We get descriptions of this, like, slabs of muscle. And you kind of like go, oh. But we're not getting very much of that. Yeah, and there's a girl in the room, she's got nipples. And his slabs of muscles ripple. That's interesting. It's interesting. Anyway. But
I hope you're holding on to this conversation because
don't worry.
am. Yeah, okay.
I'm jumping around, and I'm jumping to the fact that we've got to kind of go right over the Bonkbusters to then get to the idea of slash fiction and fan fiction and slash fiction, and then we've got the kind of the anodyne Twilight, which is very romantasy. So that idea of romantic fantasy, that's a genre in and of itself as well.
Yeah.
But then E.L. James, who famously wrote 50 Shades of Grey, which started life as a piece of fan fiction about Twilight, because Twilight was...
Did it really?
Yeah, that's what it was written. That's where it started. Effectively, the idea is that Stephanie L. Meyer, who I think is from a Mormon background...
I don't know any of these...
that's the author of Twilight.
Right.
She was writing these like romantasy stories, and E.L. James, I can't remember, that's a pen name, was reading them going, there's just not enough sex. So she did a little bit of fan fiction and inserted, no pun intended, sex into the narrative and kind of BDSM.
But isn't Twilight got a vampire thing?
Yeah, that's what I mean by romantasy. So it's romance and fantasy. So the fantasy is...
50 Shades of Grey has
no, I said it
vampiric
started,
aspect.
It started life as. So it starts life as a...
Gotcha.
And I think, maybe, we'd have to do the proper academic research process, but I think she shared the stories with friends, and they went, oh, this is really sexy, this is really good, you've got something here, but you can't then publish on the back of somebody else, so she just rewrites it for a billionaire rather than a vampire, and the naif.
Very similar, frankly.
Yeah. But so there's this kind of like emergence of narratives, but again connected to this notion of the heterodoxy, and I think I'd actually genuinely like to spend more time working out how we got to hockey smut and this I think is the shortening, romance that is written by and for straight women.
So is it called romance or is it romance? Has it got two M's in the spelling?
That would be great if they'd done that. But no, I think it's romance, and this is kind of smut and hockey smut because it's quite sexually forward.
Yeah, no question. And my understanding, of course, is that the books are particularly popular amongst straight women, which is kind of what you were saying about sort of smut. What do you call it? Hockey smut in general, and which I think is fascinating. And you said something. I think in a text you said you said that it becomes voyeuristic without power, kind of differentials or the way in which power exists between men, or the kind of the sort of legacy of power between men and women.
I think it's that you can enjoy the story without getting stuck on the power dynamics of a heterosexual relationship.
Right.
You know, you don't have to write a ball-busting woman. You don't have to have her as the
the woman in a suit.
It's exactly that's all the Jackie Collins and Gilly Cooper kind of landscape.
Rest in peace, Gilly.
Yeah.
Did you ever read 50 Shades of Grey?
I think I got about 12 pages in and just went, no, I can't do this.
Yeah, I've never.
It was too wide-eyed.
Wide-eyed. It's interesting. Wide-eyed. You mean lacking in understanding?
Yeah, lacking in understanding, lacking in guile, being from the wrong side of the tracks, being from a lower position, literally in society. All of those like blinky. Oh, it's all so much. What became interesting for me about Heated Rivalry is I had that moment of going, oh, is this just going to be men? And then there are these two absolute firebrand women who are so beautifully drawn and so sympathetic, and basically nobody in the text deserves them.
That's true.
Rose and Svetlana, just amazing women, just so generous and kind. And
also, because you know the names, of course, because you've now watched it twice.
I mean, I'm halfway through the second viewing.
Wow, because I think that was the thing that I think there were a couple of moments where there's some spoilers here if you haven't watched it. I mean, I do recommend it. I think the Mills and Boon qualification is because it's pretty threadbare. Like you kind of know where it's going very early on. And there's that aspect which was I like. Could you just get to the part where they're exposed, or however you want to describe it? And they sort of prolong that, and yet there's also something about the way in which the development of their relationship in time, mostly through the kind of teasing and very beautifully played by the person who plays the Russian, who is kind of almost painfully quintessentially Russian. I mean, almost sort of trope-like in terms of being Russian, not only in the accent, but also the kind of dealing with sexuality, which of course it's not like that's fake in terms of being gay in Russia. Like, just the consequences, right, they are not to be sneered at, or so there's sort of real circumstances. But I found myself both a little bored and also kind of loved the kind of sense of voyeurism and the sort of, I'll call it titillation of watching the sex, But the thing that I think the thing that rang least true, there were two aspects, and these are the two spoilers. One was lesser so, was the father's reaction of driving off, which I just couldn't buy. I didn't buy that particularly because of his reaction afterwards when they go and talk to them. Like there seemed some kind of disconnect between there. But then also, who's the third hockey player? What's his name?
Scott Hunter.
Scott Hunter. Yeah, not Scott Della Hunter, but just Scott Hunter.
I kept thinking that all the way through.
His middle name's Della. Scott Hunter, who...
We should just say Scott Della Hunter is a former colleague of Simon's and a friend of Simon's.
Thank you. I thought everyone would know, because I just think everyone knows Scott Della Hunter.
Everyone who counts does.
Yeah, there you go. There's those who count and there's those who don't. And the reaction... So he comes out in a big way. Mm-hmm. He comes out effectively on the ice after they've won the cup. By the way, it's not the Stanley Cup, of course, because they're all fictional teams. I didn't clock that. And that trophy they lift is a hilarious approximation of the Stanley Cup. So, which of course I understand, I get all that. But anyway, just as a little factoid for you there, Lee Miller.
Thank you.
And yeah, you're welcome. And there's the thing about the reaction. And I don't know ice hockey culture well enough, but I suspect the masculinity is so profound, and effectively the hatred of women will be the kind of way in which women are objectified by players, that the idea of a player coming out and there not being massive blowback towards that player, that team. You think of it in race terms here in this country, that the racial abuse that football players still suffer is mind-boggling. And so there are still no openly gay football players who are currently playing in the Premier League or in any of the professional, or the Premier League, I'll say, which is staggering. Like, it's so implausible and impossible. And so there's just something about the lack, and maybe in the second series they'll kind of deal with that. But I did that for me just didn't ring true, the kind of acceptance of that moment. And I should also say that I cried that, the kind of the relationship with the point at which the sort of softening of the Russian, of Ilya, and the sort of the revealing of his weakness or his vulnerability, and was when he was talking to him in Russian while being back in Russia after the death of it's very beautiful. I'm as you know, I'm far from immune to those kinds of things, and so I really did love it, and it was just pure escapism. The other thing that happened this week was that I watched a film. Who's the guy who directed the American film Civil War recently? Andrew? No. So he also made a film which came out last year called Warfare, which is I'll say blow by blow because it's told in real time of a particular moment in Iraq where a Navy SEAL team where things start to go wrong. But it's the real-time aspect of it is excruciating because you realize the time things take is so different from the way films use time. And the realism of it is, of course, it's like the antithesis of Heated Rivalry in terms of its realism. Like it's so focused on the reconstruction of this event as remembered by many, many people who are involved. And it's funny if I think about my relationship to realism versus, I'll just call it hyperrealism or fantasy, perhaps in terms of Heated Rivalry, is that I so much veer towards the realist, which is why my concerns about it's not really the hockey league. That never would have happened. They itch and scratch me a little bit when I'm watching. They get in the way of my getting lost in the story, if you understand what I mean. And I don't. It's not. It's just I guess making a comment really.
No, I think it's really interesting about how people get constructed as audience, because I know the film you're talking about, and I avoided it like the plague, despite the fact... I
can imagine you would avoid it.
I loved Civil War. I thought it was an amazing film. Yeah. Because it was...
It's a very good film.
Yeah, because it had taken only half a step away from where we are right now. But it was brilliant, and the machismo or the survival or the violence, I could hive off and go, this is okay because this isn't real. Even though I know nothing's real in a film, but there's it's like it's like when Bob and I went to see the recut Kill Bill the other week.
Yeah.
It's violent, it's bloody, it's ridiculous, and it's entirely pretend. None of that is real. It's fine. It's so easy to just not get lost in it. And I wonder if the reason I'm happier with the nonsense of Heated Rivalry, which is like, you know, the MLH rather than the NHL.
Yeah.
Is
Listen to you, hockey nut.
it's because I've watched podcasts. I watched all 6 episodes of these two guys who are former hockey players who start off going, well, that's not how that would work. Well, the drafts don't work at that point of the year. That doesn't make any sense. You know, they're saying that they're the first people. He's not the youngest person that's ever. What about such and such person? He was 13 when he was drafted. And like, it's called Empty Netters. And they get
So it was called Empty
lost into
Netters.
this. Yeah, but what's fascinating is in the first episode, they're really bothered by the minutiae. And by the last episode,
they let it go.
They're like, I just wanted him to hold him. I just want, and they are
so beautiful.
Simon, thank
But
you.
thanks for the thank you. I think I was always going to, because I'd heard so much about it, and I was always going to find a way. And then when I watched the first one, I went, oh, it was boring and sexy. And the second one, and then I think by about the fourth, I was like, I'm enjoying the way the kind of development of the characters, and so thanks, it was great.
So this is kind of like a not quite a high recommend from Simon, but a recommend and a death.
I think especially if you're a straight man, I think watch it. I think there's something about what it tells us about how we are in relationship to other people and how we observe other people and what our imaginations are possible and capable of. I just think I love that aspect of those of watching anything, but this in particular. Yeah, I found it really, really nourishing and as I say, super sexy.
Oh gosh, I mean, very beautiful boys. Everybody in it is very, very beautiful. Even the art historian who has no right.
Yeah. See ya.
Bye.